I'm going to show how we can build a live Salesforce dashboard like this that actually charts out the size and probability of our opportunities at any given time and responds as Salesforce responds, and even plays appropriate sounds to get us properly motivated in just a few minutes, starting from scratch. So the first thing I want to do is pull out data from Salesforce. To do that, I'm going to use the Explorer. And this gives me a nice visual way of seeing all the data that's available. I'm going to drill down into Salesforce. I'm going to find the opportunities so I can pull out the data I need to actually graph. And then I'm going to pull out, for this case, we'll just pull out the first 50 opportunities. And then I'm going to pull out edges and nodes so I can paginate in the traditional GraphQL way for best practices. Now for each of these opportunities, I want to pull out the amount, I want the ID, I want to know whether it's closed and won, and I want to know its name, the probability, and then finally the stage name. And really that's it. This is enough to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And you can see, if I make this a little bit smaller, you can see that I need to log into Salesforce. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And now whenever I run this, you can see I am up and running. So this is great. Having gotten this out, so I'm going to go ahead and actually name this, call this Opties. So having gotten the data out, I want to actually subscribe to any changes so that I can update my dashboard live. And to do that, I'm going to use a subscription. And we'll call this one Live Opties. And I'm going to go into Salesforce, and I can see a list of all the events that I can subscribe to. And in particular, I want to see opportunity updated. And this is going to give me a new opportunity. So this is the new state of it. You can see I probably end up selecting the same fields as I used for my query up here. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and go back up. I'm going to turn this into a reusable fragment. So you can see it's actually extracted those selections to a new fragment down here. And now inside of my subscriptions, I can go ahead and just add that right in. And for the purposes of graphing, I want to keep things clean. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this fragment. And I'm going to name this graph. And I'm going to add that in for each one of our observations. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and say that this opportunity graph fragment, just to make this a little bit easier later on, I'm going to say this is a relay plural true, and this is going to let us pull out some data in a nice way. So this is literally everything. I'm able to get my data out, and then any updates that come in, I'm going to get a live subscription to. So now I want to move this into a usable context, which is probably my app. And to do that, I'm actually going to use the code exporter. And you can see we can generate a full Reason React, or so a React Apollo app, or we can use Fetch for that. In this case, I actually want to use Reason and Reason Relay, which are amongst the best ways of experiencing GraphQL. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And in this tab right here, I actually have a live Gatsby site running. You can see here that it's just power here. If I save this, it should update. You can see this is an entirely static site. There is no server other than OneGraph here. And I'm going to go ahead and just paste in that code that we just saved. And you can see here that it's already rendering some components for us. And now inside of my app, I'm not logged in, so it's already prompting me to log in. So the auth required to run this is already built into my app. I don't have to build that at all. And so if I go ahead and run this, you can see I can already start to get some data back when I refresh. Some data is coming back. This is great. It's a little bit messy, so let's go ahead and clean this up. And to do that, I'm just going to define a connection directive here that is going to make it really easy to paginate through. And now that we have that, we can just go into our opportunities component and we can start pulling data out. And so let's go ahead and pull out the opportunities. And this is going to be inside of query.salesforce. And you can see I get this great autocomplete experience. And I'm going to ask Relay to go ahead and extract the data inside of there. So we'll get the get connection nodes. And so now whenever I ask what is the type of opportunities, you can see that it's actually an array of all of our opportunities. This is great. So let's go ahead and clear out the pre-generated component here. Okay, great. So now we just need to go ahead and make our Opti component. Okay, so now whenever I ask this is exactly the fragment that we'd expect. We have amount, ID, close, name, all the stuff that we selected earlier. So let's go ahead and pull out a few of those fields. All right, and then we should see it refresh, and we already have our list of opportunities coming in along with their amount and the stage name that they're at right now. So the next step is to go ahead and actually turn this into a graph. And to do that, I'm just going to use a pre-built graphing component that's just open source. And it's going to take a list of all of our opportunities, and it's going to create some X and Y points and then plot them in a scatter plot for us. So go ahead and save that. And now we just need to go ahead and render it. So let's go ahead and get our graph data out. And now we should be able to just simply render our graph. All right, and with that, we now have a fully working graph with all of our opportunities set up, and we're ready to make it live. So to make this live, I'm going to go down into the subscription component, the live Opti component that was generated here, and I'm just going to take out the plumbing that was generated for the actual running of it. And now inside of our Opti component, right after we make our query, we'll set up our subscription. And literally that should be it. Now we should be able to already have our dots move around as necessary whenever we update. So I'll go ahead and refresh this, and I'll go into Salesforce here. And now whenever I modify the position of this, let's change this to 200,000, we should see the dot move up here. So we already have a live Salesforce dashboard. If I change it to be a little bit further along, we'll say that it's maybe at value. You can see that our dot has moved over here. So we have a great graph that responds in real time to changes that are made in Salesforce. Now to add a little bit of panache, every time we receive an update from Salesforce, we're going to play a sound. By default, on any given update, we're just going to play a little beep and let the user know, hey, something has changed here, our little update.mp3. However, if on Salesforce the opportunity has been updated to a closed won state, then instead we want to play our successful gong sound and let the entire office know that, hey, we're doing great. And that's literally it. Now if we come in here and we actually update our Salesforce instance, so we'll change this to be 500 and at a prospecting stage. And here we have that nice update ping, and it has updated to the right place. And of course, if we change it to be a 1 million opportunity, which we have just closed and won. And there you have it. We have a fully live Salesforce dashboard with authentication set up, gets all the data out we need, graphs it visually, and even updates it live in response. And we can put this up on a dashboard in our office, and anytime we close any sort of deals, we're going to get this nice gong and let everyone know that we're alive and doing well.